We begin with the name of Allah, the most compassionate, all-merciful. This is a reminder for ourselves. This hypothetical example is used for reflection and learning purposes only with the hope that we can change our attitude towards the Quran and truly understand our role in this universe. It is not taken from the Quran or authentic books. Having said that now, block all your thoughts and close your eyes for a minute and imagine that you are standing on the Day of Judgment and Allah Almighty is taking account of everyone. After a very long, anxious, and grueling wait, it is finally your turn now, and you are standing in front of Allah. Allah will begin to ask, "Tell me whether my message reached you or not." Then you will say, "Yes, indeed, O Allah, your message in the form of the Quran reached us." Allah will say, "Very good." Then Allah will say, "Now tell me, what did you do with my message?" You will say, "O Allah, I recited your message in my daily prayers, and I recited Quran frequently in addition to that. I also memorized some surahs of it and sent my children to learn to read the Quran, and some memorized the whole Quran from beginning to end, so I am a proud father of a Hafid. I also revered the Quran as a sacred book and never disrespected it." Allah will say, "Very well." Then Allah will say, "Tell me, did you understand what you recited in your prayers and when you were reciting the Quran?" You will say, "O Allah, my mother tongue was not Arabic, so I generally knew what was discussed, but I did not truly understand what I was reading in my prayers. When I was reciting the Quran outside the prayers, often I would consult a translation to understand the meaning of it." Allah will say, "I can see you did that." Then Allah will say, "Tell me, what was the first revelation that I sent to mankind?" You will feel certain relief inside that you know the answer to this question, and you will recite the first 5 ayats of Surah Al-Alaq. Allah will say, "Very good. Now tell me what they mean." You will say, "O Allah, I don't know off the top of my head. I would need a translation to tell you that." Allah will say, "I can see your difficulty." Then Allah will say, "Tell me, did you really try to learn the language of Quran so you don't need a translation?" You will say, "O Allah, my parents made arrangements when I was child, so I know how to read the Quran, but not the language of Quran. It was also not taught in my school, and I was also distracted by other responsibilities, so I did not spend much time on learning the language of Quran." Then Allah will say, "I can see that you have spent an enormous amount of time on useless discussions that did not have any positive and tangible outcome. If you had spent a tiny portion from that time to learning the language of Quran, then you would not need a translation now. This was obviously not your priority at that time." You will say, "O Allah, yes, you are right. I should have done that, and I am really sorry for that, and I beg for your forgiveness." Then Allah will say, "Tell me, did I send the Quran so you can earn entry into heaven by reading and memorizing the Quran without really understanding it? Or did I send it so you can truly understand it, reflect upon it, and transform yourself and become my agent of transformation for everything around you and related to you? You thought it was going fine until now, but now you would think that you are in trouble. You know you don't have a good answer for this question." Allah will continue the conversation since he knows you don't have a good answer for this question. Then Allah will say, "Tell me, what was the purpose of sending you to the world?" You will remember the famous ayah of the Quran and say, "O Allah, you have said in the Quran that, and I have not created jinns and humans except to worship." Allah will say, "Indeed I did. Now tell me what else I have said in the Quran about your creation and purpose." Now you will be really feeling uncomfortable because you don't know the answer to this question. You will say, "Allah, you know it all. I don't know the answer to this question." Allah will say, "Did you recite Surah Mulk, which your prophet told you to recite at certain times?" You would say, "Yes, Allah, I did sometimes." Allah will say, "Did you find anything in it on this subject?" You will say, "Well, Allah, you know, and I don't know." Allah will say, "Didn't I send you the message to let you know so you don't have to stand here on the Day of Judgment and say this?" Allah will then say, "Tell me, what would you say to a person to whom you send a very important message, and that person, despite knowing that the message is important, did not use all the means available to him to understand it, let alone taking the required action that you wanted him to take? The matter was of grave importance to you, and knowing that, he treated the message casually." Then Allah will say, "Tell me, if he is disrespecting you and your message, or respecting you and your message." You will grudgingly say, "O Allah, I beg your forgiveness for disrespecting you and your message and not taking it very seriously." Allah will say, Because of this mistake, you were not able to realize your true potential and misunderstood your purpose in life. The Quran was meant to be absorbed in your heart and transform you from inside, and through you everything around you, and you failed to transform both. The final judgment about us is with Allah. To emphasize, it is worth repeating. This example is just a hypothetical example used for learning and taking corrective actions now. The hope is that we can take lessons and spend our energies to transform ourselves through immersing Quran in ourselves and transforming everything around us. Doing that, inshallah, we can avoid this type or similar situation on the Day of Judgment. Please note that Islam is not a minimalistic religion. While Islam requires compliance to the basic tier, which includes the 5 tenets of Islam, it demands personal excellence in all its dimensions. This implies pursuit for the best in everything we do, be it in performing worship, strengthening our character, serving humanity, and serving the one who sent. The goal for doing excellence in everything will propel us to lead this world and earn the highest honors on the Day of Judgment. May Allah give us the true understanding of Quran so we can do a great job in this world and earn highest rewards. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and like the videos, and if you want to be notified for future videos, then please hit the notification button as well. Till next time, inshallah.